all the way to Sydney. Thank you for the next 20 minutes. I hope to help you to get started with with Mojaloop. Tell you about Miniloop, but right in the middle. I'm actually going to risk stealing some thunder from other people later in the day. But Mojaloop Foundation has now got their very own Mojaloop instance running on Azure AKS. That a couple of hours ago. So here and joining Sarah. I've done a lot of work to that. I just got it before you got excited. So, and that's consistent with what I want to talk to you about, which is deploying and making Mojaloop accessible. So I'm just going to recap a little bit about where we went with Arusha, but mostly I want to give you tools and I want to give you access for things that you should be trying yourself. And there's a couple of people here have got it running with our try and install. We ran into some problems with Hyper-V with the way we approached it for the local laptop. But anyway, let's get started. Okay, don't worry. Beautiful, thank you. I hope that's built a lot of confidence. We can use the demonstration equipment. Look, what is it? What's it for? Why you should care? I was going to give you a demo, but no, I really want you to try it. And more importantly, really what I'm going to talk about is status and what it's doing and hopefully what we're planning to do next to support those three pillars that we're talking about. Simeon was showing us this morning. And then just try and bring that together. There we go. What is Miniloop and what's it for? Very simply, it's an automation of the deployment guide that's written up in the Mojaloop documentations. That's really very, very simply what it is. That's all I did is I looked at the pre-written instructions and I simply implemented a couple of shell scripts. So there's not a lot of rocket science here. And Miniloop is purely and simply an installer for Mojaloop. So when you're driving to the airport, you don't care about the road that you're actually driving to the airport in or the cab, the taxi that you're driving to the airport in. What you care about is the plane you're about to go and catch to go on a nice journey. So that's what Miniloop is. It's just the road or the taxi to get to actually Mojaloop deployment. So you can go and install this by hand if you're a Helm and Kubernetes expert, or you can actually use Miniloop, a scripted install. What is it? It's an out-of-the-box Mojaloop installation. It's the complete hub. And when I've written the documentation, it'll include the third-party charts and all the setup for 3PPI. I've tested that, and that seems okay. It's repeatable and it's scriptable. You get the same thing each time you try it. It's opinionated and it's simplified. You don't have to know about Helm. You don't have to know about Kubernetes. You don't have to know about YAML files or anything. You basically run 3 shell script lines and you get running Mojaloop. You go to a browser and then you can use the testing toolkit and you can go to this wonderful thing that VJ has set up, which is the mobile emulator, and you can actually transfer payment, do a payment, select your currency, do the quote from one to the other. I was planning on showing that to you, but it's just got a little bug right at the moment, which I think VJ is almost fixed. But when you try it for yourself, you'll actually go, at the moment, you need 6 GB of RAM, an Ubuntu image, and an x86 or AMD processor. We've got it down to about 6 gigs. And if you've got 8 or 10 gigs available, it's going to take you about 20 minutes to actually get Mojaloop up and running. Now you might say, but hang on, I thought it was 2 days. No, this is a demo instance. And now we're going to say, what's Miniloop for? And there we go. It's to make it easier. It's for demonstrations. It's for teaching, learning. It's for lab environments. It's for spin up, spin down, for testing, for QA. It's to run the TTK and to get familiarity with doing payments across the switch. It's for performance experiments, and we're going to hear more about B next. So we can prove out one of the pillars, which is the a couple of the pillars, which is the quality and the transactions, the throughput. And it's quick, 15 to 20 minutes. So I've actually said it's also very cheap. You don't need lots and lots of instances and lots of cloud time to actually, or lots and lots of compute to actually try out Mojaloop. That's what it's for. And I'm still having trouble advancing. Here we go. I've been using it for release testing because it's also got some tooling that goes with it. And recently we decided that we really needed to move our platforms in line with the 3 monthly releases of the Kubernetes platform. And we decided on Kubernetes for a whole lot of really good business reasons: zero deploy, self-healing, always up, et cetera, et cetera. But we now need to move the whole code base in a cadence of 3 months. And we can't, once we've got an install base, just reinstall all the time. So we're creating tools to move us to the latest Kubernetes releases, to enable us to stay on the latest Kubernetes releases, and to also handle and simplify the complexity of what is a complex application. We saw Alex yesterday talk about Interledger, and we're solving complex applications, and it's an attempt to make it simple. Okay, this is the tooling I'm talking about. We can go through the entire code base and turn parts on and off. And I'm giving examples of just how to do that in the Miniloop tooling section. And in fact, we used exactly this to generate the 14,000 changes that we in the 14.1 release candidate that Sam's going to talk to you about. We did it with code so that it was standardized, it was replicatable, and we could actually make sure that it's a high quality. Again, think of those pillars. And again, the benefit is of tooling and trying to create things that are simple and not expecting our users to be domain experts in Helm charts, etc., is that we make things more accessible. So if you actually look at the Helm charts at the moment, we've got 26,000 lines of YAML configuration code, not code, configuration. We need to actually, and we are making that more simplified. We'll hear more about that with vNext as well. But at the moment, we're providing tooling so that you don't need to worry about that. That becomes Miguel's problem, my problem, Sam's problem, the developer's problem. Tell you what it's not for. It doesn't replace anything that David Fry is doing. It's not for production. It's for helping you in production. It's not for doing production. It's not to give you a production example. It is not secure. It is not giving you everything that you actually need. It is giving you access to the hub, the switch, to testing, to familiarity, to labs. It's not production ready. I say that in the package. And so demonstration, no. How many people in the room would like to run, how many people have actually run Mojaloop Switch? Can I have a show of hands? How many people in the room think they would benefit from running a Mojaloop Switch in terms of learning, understanding the environment? Okay, yes. Please try it out. I'll give you the URL. Come and see me over coffee. You can try it out. You need a laptop with 6 to 8 gigabytes of memory, and you need an Ubuntu OS. That's actually been the hold up with what we've tried at this conference. Or better yet, if you've got any sort of cloud instance, 8 gigabytes in an Ubuntu 18 or 20 instance, and we can have you about half an hour later running Mojaloop, the whole switch. Okay, so github.com, tdaily61 Miniloop. All right, and then you're going to put some local host entries on your laptop, and then you can run the testing toolkit and actually do payment to payment. If you go to tdaily61 mini loop on GitHub, you'll see all of the you'll see the step-by-step instructions. There's not too many of them. And in fact, here they are. If you can handle typing in 4 lines of code, you can run Miniloop. Sorry, you can run Mojaloop with Miniloop. Okay. So here's the new bit. All that's existing, right? Here's the new bit. It is, where are we? Well, what Miniloop does for you today, it downloads and installs, configures Kubernetes. You don't have to know anything about that. You just have to pick micro K8s or K3s. It downloads the Helm repo, all the good work that Miguel and Sam and the other developers are doing. It modifies the charts locally. It's doing that for 1.24 of Kubernetes right at the moment. So we have a code base that is very difficult to deploy on 1.24 right at the moment. We're fixing that with 14.1 and with version 15 of Mojaloop, but you can already run it today because it does the configuration for you with Miniloop. It deploys new MySQL for you, a single instance. It gives you a new password each time, and it deploys locally configured and modified Mojaloop charts. It does all that for you from those 3 command lines. Next steps, a lot of this is coming out because we're putting it in the 14.1 dev release. So a lot of that comes out. It's going to be standard. So Miniloop simplifies very shortly. And we're going to use Miniloop to finish off the 14.1 and 15 releases where we're separating out backends. So Sam will tell you about that. It's going to then deploy those backend services automatically for you. And importantly, we're starting to support vNext and looking at that. Pedro and I have started working on that, going, okay, let's apply the same automation to make vNext as it develops, and let's size it as we go. And we can do things like associating nodes to pods, so we can actually test different services that Pedro is going to tell you are going to be pluggable. That gets to the next pillar, which I'll get to in just a moment. But here's what I'm hoping to spend. Oh, I should say, most of that is actually sort of up into the vNext stuff. Most of that is actually already done. So there's not a massive amount of work here for Miniloop. What I'm hoping to do in support of those pillars is to start doing the little bits in gray down there, which are actually integrations, performance testing, and for instance, with Mephos, there's some work going on with Mephos, but there's some other ideas that I have. And we want to think of the VistaWorks folks who need to start scaling as they go from a friendly user testing to closed user to many more. They won't be able to just take the database and say, hey guys, can you just stop? We'll reinstall. That's not what they're going to be able to do as they proceed to success. So let's look at how we're going to use these tools to actually transition them to vNext so that they can scale. And I did have this pet project that I started to actually port to ARM for these whole lot of reasons. Turns out the vNext gives me that for free because all the containers are going to run on ARM. Summary, and I'm going to get out your hair, but please come and talk to me and let's get you started running Mojaloop. Miniloop's an installer for Mojaloop. That's all it is. But being able to install, being able to test, being able to do it quickly, being able to do it replicated is a huge benefit. And I'm hoping in some way it just starts to make some of the conversations here, which can be abstract, I'm just hoping it gets us hands-on so that we can all start to participate and contribute as a community. And it definitely supports the 3 pillars. Boy, oh boy, am I happy to see that. That's great. Thank you very much.
Thanks so much, Tom. I think next time in the next convening, Tom, it might be useful to benefit from a step-by-step installation process session where we can have everybody with their laptops and like, okay, do this, do this. So we'll plan that for the next convening.